Matt, PJ Fleck is adding an athletic freak in wide receiver Malachi Coleman. Let's talk about it after the stinger. It's Felix Sharpe and Matt Bruening for CampusToCanton.com. I hope you like what we're doing. We're out here trying to push college fantasy football. So we've been tracking a lot of these guys who are entering the transfer portal, finding new destinations since they were freshmen, if not before then. Malachi Coleman, no different. The athletic freak, Matthew. I think he was, a 200-meter state champion, very athletic guy. He could have played on the defensive side of the ball. He avoided, that dreaded year 1-0 status. If you want more information about that, you can get it in the comments. But now he's going to PJ Fleck and the Golden Gophers.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting landing spot. The entire room, for the most part, is cleared out. Daniel Jackson led the receivers last year with 184.75 points, was their wide receiver one, averaging 15 points per game. Elijah Spencer, the second one, they're both gone. You mentioned him being an athletic freak. He was on the 2023 24/7 Sports Freak list with what he can do at 6'4" and 190 pounds. We have him at over 21 miles per hour, which is in the 81st percentile, but as listed as a .949 athlete, which is just incredible. And I mean, if you think about, Felix, you used to talk about this all the time when PJ Fleck made that move from Western Michigan to Minnesota. The wide receivers he's put into the NFL, right? Corey Davis, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty impressive list, and I think it's not unfair to say Malachi Coleman's the best athlete out of all of them. So you give PJ Fleck a guy that you could mold into something. He's got, I believe, 3 years of eligibility because he only played in a couple games this year. And it was a weird thing with Nebraska, too. He wasn't injured, and if you go look up Matt Rule talking about it, he mentioned, well, we're trying to get him to learn, even though he produced for them as a true freshman at Nebraska. So goes over, as I said, to Minnesota. There's really no competition in this room. I think he has a chance to be the wide receiver one. Obviously, the offensive line, quarterback will be kind of a big thing for him.
Yeah, he has a chance. But if you think about some of these guys who are athletes and not technicians, off the top of my head, somebody like Cordell Russell, who's now on his third team and is as many years. Malachi Coleman very much fits into that spectrum, but that spectrum includes someone like Keon Coleman, formerly of Michigan State and Florida State, and now with the Buffalo Bills. That's what I see Malachi Coleman potentially being. But again, I mean, this is a guy that could have played defensive end because of his length in athleticism. In Minnesota, obviously, not a high volume passing team, at least not recently, but they can put up in fantasy. They can put up wide receiver one type numbers. They did it with Tyler Johnson is obviously the clear example, and then Rashad Bateman being a first round pick. Maybe not. They're going to give the ball to Darius Taylor, but they got to throw the ball to one wide receiver. And maybe we get the development from Malachi Coleman here in year 3 of his development. He's probably going to have 3 more years left because he redshirted last year. So last year didn't count. So he's got a lot of runway to become, the player that we thought he would be. By the way, I've got a lot of exposure to Malachi Coleman in Campus to Canton leagues.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he produced as a true freshman. He was number 4 on that on the receiving group in yards that year in 2023, where I believe the quarterbacks at one point were Chuba Purdy. It was Jeff Sims before he got injured, and Heinrich Harburg, I think, was the other one. Like, that's not an inspiring list. Right now, it looks like Drake Lindsey's going to be the quarterback for Minnesota. He's really the only one left on the depth chart that could add somebody in. I actually like their true freshman, Jackson Collick. But as we've talked about here over the past couple of years, it is hard for a true freshman kind of step in and be the guy. So I don't know that he starts for the Gophers this year. But again, adding him to Drake Lindsey, I mean, you mentioned Kevin Coleman. I mean, that's what Malachi Coleman was known for at Nebraska. Really good at contested catches. And when you pair that speed with the ball tracking skills that he has as well with that contested catch, I mean, Drake Lindsey could just be throwing it up to him at times and he could go get it. I think it's a great addition to Minnesota.
It's a very high ceiling player. Gophers fans, let's get this video to 50 likes. Can we get it to 50 likes? And let us know what you think about Malachi Coleman coming to Minnesota. All right. Peace.